Hey, I thought it was super important to hop on this slide to talk about your big idea. So, of course, we are all excited about you wanting to take the leap to start your business. But I want you to take a step back and think about a few things. Is there a demand for your product or service? Are people asking for it? Do they want it? Are they going to buy it? Have you done your market research to feel the market and to determine, do you have a hobby or do you really have a business idea that people will invest in? And so think about some of the questions that we have put on the slide to help you further develop your business idea.
All right, so we are at the slide. And so before we go any further, I think it's important for us to talk about some of the different types of business structures, which we'll go into a little bit more later. But one of the main questions that I get often is my business a for profit or a nonprofit? And so a lot of people who have a business idea kind of don't know which way to go. And so let's talk about that for just a second. So, a for profit business develops products or services that the consumer needs, and the main goal of the business is to generate a profit. A nonprofit, by contrast, doesn't prioritize profits and instead dedicates to promoting a social cause. You are a charitable organization. So, for example, an after school or a mentoring program, an organization that may feed the homeless or have resources for houseless individuals. It is a charitable cause. Funding in a for profit business comes from your revenue. It comes from the products or services you sell. You sell something to the consumer buys it, and that is your revenue. That is how your streams of income flow. In a nonprofit business, you typically generate income from individual donors or grants. So these are people who believe in your mission and your vision, and they just want to give you money because you are helping a social cause. You're helping the community. And the benefit to them is they get a tax write off. So the money that they donate to your nonprofit, they can claim that on their taxes and get a tax write off. So it is a win win. You get money and they get a tax write off. Now, taxation. In a nonprofit business, most of them are registered as a 501c3, and there are other kinds, but generally you do not pay taxes when you are a nonprofit organization. You are considered a tax exempt organization by the IRS. And again, those donating to you can get a write off on their taxes. For profit companies, not so lucky. You do have to pay taxes on the goods and services that you buy. And also, the consumer, your customers, have to pay tax on your product. We will get into an identification number a little bit later and how to apply for that. But your EIN number is something that you will get. That's one of the first things that you will get from the IRS website. It is like the social security number for your business. It's what separates your business from your personal social security number, right? So it is the fingerprint, the thumbprint of your organization, and it will follow you for the duration of the life of your business. A lot of people want to charge you $200 and $250 to get an EIN. It takes less than 10 minutes of your time, and it's absolutely free on the IRS website. And so that'll be talked about a little bit later. And then business structure. So we'll dive into business structure in the next slides. And so here we're going to talk about a sole proprietor, a partnership, an LLC, and a corporation, and what are the differences and which one is right for you. So I look forward to seeing you on the next slide. All right, so let's dive right in. So on this slide, we're going to talk about the difference between a sole proprietorship and a partnership. So if you do not choose anything on your paperwork, so let's say you don't know, you're just filling out your license, your paperwork, and you would not have known what to pick. By default, the government will say that you are a sole proprietor. Now, sole proprietors do not produce a separate business entity. That does not mean that you still don't get an EIN number, because you do, because your business has to have that. What that means is your business assets and liabilities are not separate from your personal assets and liabilities. So you can personally be held liable for the debts and obligations of the business. So if your business has a debt, somebody can come after your personal assets to pay that debt. If somebody sues your business and your business doesn't have the assets to pay, they can come after you, after your personal assets. Okay. So that is, a pretty big difference there with most of the other structures. A partnership obviously is formed with 2 or more people. The types of partnerships are general partnerships, limited partnerships, and limited liability partnerships. Partnerships can be a good choice for businesses with multiple owners, professional attorneys, and groups who just kind of want to test their business idea before forming something a little bit more formal like a corporation. All right, so we're winding it on down. So on this slide, we're going to talk about the difference between a limited liability company and a corporation. So LLCs protect you from personal liability, right? And so in most instances, that's going to be your personal assets, like your vehicle, your house, your savings account. So those things won't be at risk if you form an LLC. So if your LLC goes bankrupt, that does not affect your personal assets, okay? So LLCs are a great choice for medium to larger size businesses and owners who have a lot of assets. So if you are somebody, you have a ton of assets, then you definitely want to start out as an LLC. If you say, I just got a 1-room shack, nobody can sue me for anything, and I just kind of want to get started, then you can start as a sole proprietor. And as you develop more assets and as your business grows, then you can change. That is the glory of the business structures. They can change over time. As your business grows, then your structure can change. I do want to say, please check with your state business department, probably your Secretary of State. Most LLCs have a yearly fee associated with them. I'm in Tennessee. It costs a minimum of $300 to form an LLC. And it goes up from there depending on how many members or partners you have in the business. But it is a minimum of $300 a year. A corporation sometimes is a C Corp, S Corp. It's a legal entity and it is completely separate from its owners. Corporations can make a profit and be taxed and be held legally liable. Corporations offer the strongest protection to its owners from personal liability. But the cost to form a corporation sometimes can be extremely high. And so sometimes people will, again, start with an LLC and then move their way up to a corporation as their businesses grow, because it is a little bit more extensive for record keeping, your operational processes, and reporting. So the government will require a lot more from a corporation than they would a sole proprietor or a general partnership.